Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, we're back. It's been a little break from it's a little break from coverage, but we're back in full force. With me today, we got our producer and co-founder Brian Goins.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing. Listen, I'm doing great.
I'm kind of happy we're not the Pacers right now.
Listen. The Knicks
I want
lost.
the break.
Huh?
I like the break.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I like the break too. I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed watching the playoffs with no stress. Also joining us today, the great reality check
like
master,
more?
Tiffany Meeks.
What do you like more, Brian? What do you like more?
I like that I can watch the Florida Panthers without having like change channels or have like a previous channel set on my remote to go back and forth between the Heat games and Panthers games because they always schedule on the same nights.
Mm-hmm.
I just love I don't have to do that anymore.
It's nice, man. It's just nice to watch a Game 7 and to not have to worry about the existential dread that comes with it. Tiff, I watched
Yes.
Game 7 of Knicks Pacers.
Yes.
Happiest man on earth.
Let me tell you, New York City has never been this quiet. I mean,
Love it. Love it.
Tell me about it.
Love
It's
it.
barren. It's barren. I walked into work today. I didn't see a single Knicks jersey. I didn't see a T-shirt. I just saw sad faces. Everybody was sad.
I walked outside today, Tiff. I texted our good friend Brass Jazz, and I said, Brass, what a beautiful morning. The fucking New York Knicks lost. There are birds singing outside right now. There are birds singing. It is a beautiful sunny day, and Jalen Brunson is home. Josh Hart is home. That lady who saged the bar to help the Knicks.
Yeah, what was that?
For the audience that's not aware, on Twitter yesterday at halftime of Knicks Pacers Game 7, some woman saged a sports bar in New York, and I'm like, listen, lady. You're stealing my whole fucking flow word for word, bar for bar. You did it wrong. You don't sage a bar. The vibes were off because you're the Knicks. And you know what happened after she saged that bar? Jalen Brunson busted his fucking hand.
Yep.
The vibes are off. Damn. You're not me. You're not me. You're not me. You just don't stick to your lane, Knicks fans, and that's losing. That's losing basketball games.
I believe you call them a bunch of posers.
There are a bunch of posers. I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna try not to be such a hater right now. I am annoyed, and I don't know how Tiff, and I want to get how Tiff and Brian feel, and then we're gonna move into the Heat stuff. I just want to glee a little bit on the loss of the New York Knicks, but it was really annoying how when Miami goes through all the injuries that they go through, they're never afforded. Oh, the injured team. Oh, Jimmy's playing hurt. Oh, Max is playing hurt. Kyle's playing hurt. Tyler's out. Bam's playing through a hand. They're never afforded that. It's always like, you're out there, you're good enough. And you lose, depth is important, blah, 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 blah. And then the narrative is like the punchy New York Knicks, the New York crowd, this and that. It is so annoying as a Heat fan to experience that because there's such a bias. And Tiff, I think you know it more because you're up there. So you see... Right. You see it like happen live and in person to a degree that I don't. And I'm just sick of it, bro. I'm just sick of it. And I took a little bit of glee in them losing. Listen, let's look at the facts. Last year, they lost to the 8th seed. This year, they barely beat the 7th seed and lost to the 6th seed. That's just the reality, Tiff.
No. Listen, I think the biggest thing is that they still glam on to the league is better if the Knicks are good. That's what I think. I think we're still rolling. We're still rolling with that. And listen, not for nothing, but yes, they're pushing the New York economy. So have at it, sell out those games, make that money, do what you need to do. But like, it's still the Knicks. Like at the end of the day, they still didn't win anything.
A real team's occupying that arena right now.
Who's that?
The New York Liberty.
No, they don't play there.
They don't play there? I thought they
No, the Rangers. Actually, the Panthers are going to be there.
Wait, they don't play? What in the misogyny is this? They don't play at MSG?
No, they took over Barclays.
That's a nice arena, isn't it?
Yeah, but they took it over.
What do you mean they took it over?
I mean, there's a new sheriff in town.
Well, the team that plays in Barclay. I mean, that's a team.
Yeah.
That basketball would be this.
It's the home of Liberty, not the Nets.
Exactly.
Say it loud, Brian. Say it loud. I did not know that they played at Barclay. I thought they played at MSG.
Nope. There's a new sheriff in town.
Oh, so that building's just empty to collect mold.
Well, I know they're gonna have
the Rangers
hockey games.
Your Panthers are going to be
Are the
there.
Rangers good? I don't watch hockey. I don't know.
They're the number 1 team in the entire NHL.
They have the Panthers have a chance.
Yeah.
This is sports talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Panthers are probably going to beat them in 6 games.
Okay, well, there you go.
Anything to squell out that Ranger homophobia, I'm down for.
Are the Rangers canceled?
Yeah, I canceled them.
Let's go. Cancel the Rangers. Bronx Joker subscribed to Tier 1. Says, my family miss y'all. Miss y'all too. So, excuse me for indulging a little bit of Knicks hate. It was very tamed. If you will go to my Twitter account, it's pure unhinged hate. If you want more, go there. I'm being professional for the camera. But we're here to talk about the Miami Heat. We're here to talk about kind of get the offseason going. Get the wheels churning, people. There's a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot of discussion, and we're going to be at the hub of it, us and our colleagues here covering the Heat. But, guys, there's so much going on. Brian, Tiff.
Yes.
The news of the week, now that the Cleveland Cavaliers have been eliminated, is okay, are the Heat in play for Donovan Mitchell? Are the Heat, that's the guy that I think has been historically linked to Miami, and that's a guy that, he's a shiny thing. He can fix the offense, quote unquote. I want to go to Tiff and then Brian. Tiff, is that a guy, because they don't have a lot to trade. They have Jovic, they have Jaime, they have Brian. How many picks?
Right now it's 2.
They have 2
They could get up to 3, but they can get up to
maybe
3.
3. And
is
that's
that
about
first round? Those are first rounders?
Yeah, I'm talking first round. Second round picks, there's an additional 3.
So Tiff, I gotta ask
and then
you,
there's also swaps.
Okay.
Is that a guy that you trade the farm for? That you're just like, hey, you take everything that's not Jimmy and Bam, and then we'll figure the rest out?
It's twofold, right? Because if you're trading the farm, you got to have a plan. It's because I feel like the Heat they make the decisions and then it's like we'll put it together later. But I feel like if this is the type of move you're going to do, whereas you're definitely giving up at least one of Jaime or Nikki, or maybe both, including Tyler, you got to have a plan, because if you're putting all these guys out there plus picks, who's going to make up that difference of these guys? Like, so I would, the part of me who knows they need scoring says yes, but those 3 aren't enough. So what happens once you get him? What position are we in after that, Brian? So what does the trade look like? And then what are you left with?
So if you're saying we're including one of either Jaime or Nico, I mean, they're making very little. So in my opinion, like the salary that you would be trading from, like you have to combine it with a bigger salary to get a better player.
Right.
Yeah, they probably will. But let's just say there's only one of them in the trade. And then if you're tossing in Tyler, basically those 2 contracts are pretty much just about enough. I can double check real quick.
That's it. I was worried that they needed Duncan in the deal as well to get to the salary figure.
Because if you told me I'm just trading Tyler and Jaime
and draft equity
and draft equity, then I say do it.
I just don't think that's enough.
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough either.
Yeah. So you can make the contracts match. Donovan Mitchell is going to be making, well, to match him, you have to trade 100% because Miami's over the first apron. There's a new CBA rule kicked in last year. It used to be 120%. So you could go over, get a player with the contracts you had, and get a player that's making 120% more than what you were sending out. And then last year, it went down once new CBA kicked in for the league year on July 1st, down to 110%. That was like a 1-year buffer. Now that we're entering the offseason, it's down to 100%, means an even trade match. If you're going to trade for a player, you have to send out equal amount salary or more to get the player that you want on the contract that they're making. because Miami's over the first apron. To trade match Donovan Mitchell is making $34.8 million. To get there, Miami has Hero's $29 million that he's making for next season, and the remaining $5.84 million can be filled out with I was saying either Nico or Jaime, and then you have to toss in a minimum salary. So if you have someone like Thomas Bryant who has a player option that he can opt into before July 1st. You also have Orlando Robinson's minimum salary you can actually use. His is non-guaranteed, but you would have to guarantee his contract for next season in order to make that trade go through. I mean, there's other ways that Miami could also make the numbers work. You can do a trade with Hero and Caleb Martin if he opts in, or if you agree to an extended trade where he opts in and then agrees to an extension in conjunction with a trade. So you can do that too. Or you can even do a sign trade where you send him out to a third team. So if he doesn't even go to Cleveland, he ends up becoming a free agent and finds a destination in free agency. Miami can use his contract still, send him out to a third team in a sign and trade, and then use that as part of the salary to still trade match for Donovan Mitchell. And that actually helps Cleveland get a trade exception out of that. That's worth about $7.3 million. So there's ways that Miami can make the numbers work, and that's just with Hero salary. You can also use Terry Rozier if he's the guy that ends up being shipped out. But I think for all intents and purposes, we're probably thinking Hero is going to be the most likely candidate to be traded. And sometimes they're bigger salaries.
I have a quick question before we move off of this. I thought that because they were over one of the aprons, they could not do sign and trades. Do I have that?
Miami can acquire a player in a sign trade, but they can send out a player. They cannot
acquire, so they can sign and trade somebody. They just cannot take a sign and trade player back. And that's the first.
We can't go out and acquire a free agent via sign trade, but we can ship one out.
So, like for example, if LeBron James wants to do a sign and trade, they can't do that, or whatever free agent.
You can't get them. No,
they cannot receive unless they're under the second apron or the first apron.
Under the first apron, Miami would be hard capped at the first apron. They can't go a single cent or single dollar
that they can make that space. There's just no.
Okay. We would have to cut so much salary to even get into conversation. I don't think Miami's there yet.
And that's the thing. If you told me you could get it done and it was just Tyler and maybe Jaime and then like draft equity, then I would do it because it leaves you. I don't know if I'm wrong, Brian, correct me. Does it leaves you in a position to make other moves?
You can still make other moves. You have the contracts of Duncan, you have the contracts of Terry Rozier that you can still play with. And then it depends on, I guess, what else Miami would need positionally wise. Like if you have the backcourt almost settled with Donovan Mitchell, and I don't know who would play point. I don't think Rozier would play in the backcourt with him. So I feel like Rozier would have to be dealt.
That's my whole thing, because that's why I said to get him, I feel like you need a plan. There's no way in hell he's playing in the backcourt with Terry, or Tyler. Like you don't want that. We've already had that backcourt. We don't want that again. So that's what I'm saying. Like you need a plan. You need a defensive stalwart next to him. Like you need somebody who can legitimately play defense.
A guy I would like would be Alex Caruso. He's on an expiring $9 million contract for next season. I think he would fit pretty well in the backcourt. Obviously, he doesn't play point. He's more of like a combo guard. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is a guy that is a high usage player, so he's pretty much going to be a point guard, bringing up the ball every time up the court. So, and he also had Bam and Jimmy that can also bring it up. And Miami plays positions anyway. So, like, and if they could somehow keep Jovic, like, there's 4 guys that can handle the ball, and then you still have Caruso that can bring it up too. So I think if that was like the plan, if they wanted maybe like take Rozier's contract and go for a couple guys making like maybe 10 to 15 million with his deal, I think that could work too. And then you still have Duncan's. Like Duncan's, why would they?
Because I mean, like they already have a guy.
Well, I mean,
they already have a scoring guard that doesn't play defense.
Yeah, I really don't know what the trade would look like afterwards. I'm just saying that's like a guy that fits the mold of what I think Tiff is looking for.
Right. I just kind of think like, even if
he's on a reasonable contract.
Right. Well, even if you told me you're re-signing DeLon, even that backcourt is a little bit more sturdier than what we've been looking at.
Which they could bring him back on a minimum or even slightly more with non-Burrits. But I think Miami would want to convince him to take a minimum contract because he still basically makes the same amount. It's like maybe $400,000, a little less than what he could make. But Miami saves like almost $4 million in luxury tax savings by having him sign a minimum. So I think that's possible that they'll bring him back on a minimum deal. I think they'll probably convince a couple guys to do the same thing. Like they can easily convince Jay Rich to do the same thing, Thomas Bryant. But like when they do that, then Miami can't include him in trades for up until I think December 15th or January 15th. Yeah, it would be December 15th because they're not making increases from their previous year's salary. So that's the only like bad side about doing that. But maybe if they already know that they're planning to trade maybe Thomas Bryant, it's fine that if he opts in. But like a guy like Orlando Robinson could still be traded. You can't trade Haywood Highsmith because he's going to be a free agent. So like you can if he's a signed trade to another team, but if Miami wants to keep him and then trade him, that's a trade that has to happen later on in the season. So I'm just thinking like what are the minimum salaries Miami could even use afterwards in a trade? Like those, they're actually kind of slim on minimum salaries. That's why Jovic and Jaquez are most likely going to be in the trade just because they need them for salary purposes. Yeah, they don't really have much after Hero in terms of like lower salary players that are under contract. So
I think like that's why like a guy like Trae Young to me is a little bit more appealing because I feel like you can get him for a little bit less. You can probably keep a pick that you probably wouldn't have, and maybe you can even keep.
He's a higher salary though.
That's true, but you could probably. But I think that's why you can get him for a little bit less, and you can kind of flip the picks. But I guess when you flip the picks, you're gonna need salary to flip with them. And I actually think that like Caleb opting in is like, I think they really need Caleb, for that. Like I think that they just need Caleb for salary at this point. You know what I mean? Like I just don't think that they can like really.
They're gonna have to work with them.
Which is why. This is why like I think Miami's always so obsessed with just having contracts. You know what I mean? Like, that's why they gave Redacted that deal. That's why they give guys like these kind of like chunky $10 to $12 million deals. I think Duncan Robinson's another guy. I know, Brian, you mentioned him. That I think they might have to flip him for stuff.
He's a bigger contract. Like, you're looking for smaller salaries that you would need to add after.
Why can't you flip Duncan for two salaries?
I mean, you could, but then if you're are you trying to say this is part of a deal after Donovan Mitchell?
I just think that like if you're gonna trade for Mitchell, I guess and Tiff, I think we've talked about this some, you know, when we text or we have like calls talking about the team. I don't think that they're like a guy away anymore.
No, that's what now you see what I'm saying when I say where's you need the plan. If you get him, you still need a 3-and-D wing. You still need a backup center. Like you still have big holes to fill because I feel like watching the playoffs, they're showing you what you don't have. All these teams are showing us.
You need like a takedown of the roster. And I really don't think a lot. And I like Duncan, right? Like I like Duncan and I think Duncan's good. But he's a guy like I don't know if I think he's a guy that you're going to have to trade just to get new guys. I think Tyler's a guy that has to go. I think all these guys are going to have to go to just to just flip them to get new guys.
Those are your three contracts. It's really going to be Tyler, Terry, and Duncan.
And I got to be
Caleb
honest.
Opson, you can use him too. That's really it.
I think what we're talking about is too ambitious right now for what the organization is probably going to do. I think they need to like really hard retool. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a whole reset because you're not getting rid of the guys at the top. But you're really like, I'm thinking like from a 05 to 06 kind of change from Miami, where in 05, they had a bunch of guys that they got rid of, and then they brought in pretty much an entire new roster around Wade and Shaq, right? It was GP. It was all these veterans that they bought low on. And I think, you know, and I saw somebody tweet this about, and Christian shared it in our chat, how like the Mavs, feel however you feel about Kyrie Irving, the Mavs bought low on him. They bought. Yeah. I mean, they got him for nothing.
Yeah.
And they're in the conference finals, and they beat real teams to get there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't have a Pacers, they didn't have a Knick, they didn't have an Atlanta Hawk run to the conference finals. They fucking beat real teams. They beat the fucking 1 seed.
Right.
They beat the Clippers, and I'm not gonna lie. There's a world where they beat the shit out of Minnesota, because they're not gonna be able to guard him. So
they kind of, and that's the thing, G. So they got Kyrie, But then what they did was, as the season went on, and people were injured and all those things, and instead of like clinging to the bottom as it fell out, they just allowed the bottom to fall out. And then when they came back this season and they retooled. So they were able to get PJ Washington. They were able to get what's his name, Gafford. So they did a few things. So are you looking at the Heat and saying, should the bottom fall out next year? Should they just kind of start moving guys out to try to like create cap space around Jimmy and Bam, while also letting another year of Jimmy's health just kind of go by the wayside? Well, because that's the thing. Like, if you told me you traded Tyler and you just brought in 2 role players, you're looking like you looked this past season.
You look better, but
we don't know that.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Because you're banking on what? Fountain of Youth Jimmy, and then Bam to like up his scoring average.
Well, like I just think that getting 2 rotation players in with having Rozier for a year, I think that like Kyle wasn't really providing them like kind of like scoring or like offensive production. He was more, right. And I've said all along, like he was like a 16-game player for them at this point in his career. And so Rozier can provide some of what Hero provided. And if you flip Hero into like 2 functional role players, whether it be a wing and maybe like some sort of guy to help your bench, whether that's like a really good center or whatever, or a center that can play with Bam some. Like imagine if Kevin Love could defend a little bit, like stuff like that.
Right.
I think you're better because now you just have more guys you can play, and I think that a lot of people really praise Miami for their depth, and I agree that Miami had a lot of playable guys, but they had like a lot of like 7th men. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had a ton of guys who would be like awesome 7th guys in your rotation. They just didn't have any 3, 4, 5 guys. And I think that they need a 4 and a 5 or a 5 and a 6.
But here's the thing. They need someone special.
Yeah, and that was like, kind of why we started with Mitchell, right? Because you're like, okay, well, like, can they get him? But then, like, I think this is like kind of the issue that we're gonna run into. When you get him, you just can't. You don't really have stuff to fill out the rest of your team,
right?
So you're gonna need to be like, okay, and I think stuff. Brian,
there's one more.
That's where the organization has to like kind of get, put their money where their mouth is. Where okay, we got the star. Let's fill out the role guys with undrafted guys that are cheap. That's when you need that. You know what I mean? When you got to fill out the roster and you don't have options.
They don't have anybody in the pipeline right now besides maybe Alanis Williams, and I don't really trust him at the moment.
Swider going to be
Jamal
ready.
Kane is,
Swider's a guy that's in the
either of those 2 guys system. Are going to be. Yeah, are going to be.
I think Swider's probably
Robinson.
I think Swider is going to be on the roster because
they gotta.
They don't have nothing else.
They'll need a shooter, but I don't. Yeah, they could still keep him. I think on a 2-way for 1 more year. He's going to be in Summer League. I saw. So he'll be in Summer League for Miami still.
Some of the shit that happens to the Heat is like they get guys really early. Like they had Derek Jones Jr. Derek Jones junior has not been a productive NBA player. Like I shouldn't say that. Derek Jones was not a functional high-end rotation player until this year, right? And even then, his shooting still stinks, and like he has like a lot of issues. But like they had him. He was a great 8th, 9th guy for them. You know what I mean? Who played a lot of minutes for them in the regular season, but come playoff time, like he just wasn't ready, right? And now for Dallas, he's like playing a big role. He's closing games. He helped. Guys, Derek Jones did not help in the bubble run. Derek Jones played like very sparingly. And
remember he got hurt in that Pacers game where like we weren't even sure what happened to him.
It was just to kind of say like they get guys early a lot and they just can't like keep and develop them. And I hope that doesn't happen with Swider just because they're going to have to hold on to him. Pat Bev was another guy that they had in their camp early. Pat Bev didn't become a rotation player for like another 4 years. If you look at when he first got like his real like minutes, it was like 4 years later. So like they couldn't just keep a guy like in their system. So
and Gabe, Max, and Duncan all had a year on the 2-way where they didn't really contribute much until the second year on their 2-ways when they officially played. The only guy that really like came in right away and was like instant playable player, like role player, was Caleb.
Yeah, that was crazy. And Caleb
Yeah.
was not in their system. They got Caleb,
Right.
from somewhere else. But like
Yeah.
Duncan took like 2 years. Max
Well,
took 2
he
years.
was in Charlotte for at least a couple of years before he was in our system.
I mean, Tiff, you remember Max? Max would come in like, okay, here's
Right.
fifth game in 4 nights, or fourth game in 5
Right.
nights in the road on Houston. Can you give us
And
15?
anything.
Yeah, and he'll shoot. He'll shoot 25% from 3, but you knew that the talent was there, that he was gonna get a real shot in the league, because like you kind of
Right.
saw like, okay, once he gets the game speed. So I think Swider's going to be similar, but I think that's what you're going to have to fill the roster with. I just don't think their kind of pipeline right now is not like ready for that, and they need them to be ready for that. So they're going to have to take some swings at guys like they did with Caleb. Maybe get a vet who is on a prove it deal. They've done
They're
that
gonna
plenty
need
of
some
times.
minimums.
Well, what happens when you don't get Donovan Mitchell?
Panic.
Low-key, I kind of think they might run it most of it back.
No, they're gonna run it back, I kind of think that there's no question about that.
Because you know why? Because they're gonna wait for that situation to unfold before they do anything else.
I just don't know like what you do with Tyler, because I just don't think they're gonna want to take cents on the dollar, and I think like that's their thing. They don't want cents on the dollar with Tyler, and they're, for better or for worse, that's what they're gonna do. Duncan, I guess you can flip Duncan, but I don't really know what flipping Duncan gets you, right? And he's good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he was really a problem. I just think that like they have too many guys that are problems together. Like Hero, Duncan, Rozier is like a really bad defensive guard rotation, and you kind of need all of them because they all ball handle for you, and your best player is going to miss 30 games. So they're just in a bad position. They're just not in a good position, and like that's why I'm just like, you just got to get rid of everybody and just keep Jimmy and Bam and find a way to retool as much as you can. And I think if you cut your losses, you cut your losses. But what are you going to do? Brian, I think you even said at some point that they might not be able to keep their first-round pick this year because of their salary.
Well, I think they can. I just feel like they probably will trade it, just because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if they really want to get under the second apron this year, because they already can be over it by like a hair, and then really part of it's because of Hero's $2.5 million incentive that he's not going to get. Like, we don't think Tyler's ever going to get MVP or Defensive Player of the Year or All NBA.
You
He's not
don't?
going to get any awards. No. So like, the NBA will still put that Miami's over the second apron because of that stupid $2.5 million bonus that he's not going to earn, but they have to basically act as if they're over the second apron because of it. So that's basically, it makes Tyler's salary not 29 million, more like 31.5. So to me, trading Tyler makes the most sense out of anyone on the team, because you end up saving more money, and it helps you balance your books a little bit easier by trading his salary away, because you don't have anybody else that's on an incentive like that. And then like, if their first round pick right now, it's like they can keep it. I just feel like if they were to want to maneuver their cap space a little bit easier, and especially with their lack of draft equity right now, because they really only have one unprotected first, either in 2030 or 2031, that they can trade right now without unprotecting the 2025 pick that's owed to OKC, or the 2027 pick that's now owed to Charlotte from the Terry Rozier trade. If they unprotected both of those, then you open up the possibility of trading 2029 and 2031 combined as unprotected, and then the 2024 pick at the draft. So that's why I was saying you could have 3 picks that they can trade. I tweeted that out, I think, the other day. Well, and yeah, in my opinion, like, Miami wants to make those kind of moves, and I feel like they probably will. The 2024 pick to them is an asset that they should use in conjunction with another player that they can trade out, and that's something that can maybe happen on draft night or shortly after. You can trade draft rights, or you can even trade the player 30 days after they sign their rookie salary. So like, there's ways that Miami can go about, including the guy that they pick at number 15 in the 24 draft. So there's a number of ways that Miami can, shuffle their books around. I just think that, like, if they really need to take a seriously hard look, you got to look at Rozier's contract. You got to look at Duncan and Hero and see what exactly those salaries can be flipped for if they want to really retool, or if they want to take an even harder look. If they're not really serious about giving Jimmy this extension until maybe later on in the season or up until June 30th next year, because he has up until July 7th, all the way to June 30th, 2025 to sign that extension or Miami to really offer it. Look, they could potentially use him as a trade piece too, because if he opts out, then you're basically left with nothing in return for Jimmy if he ends up leaving. Because according to Ethan, it's either they give him the extension or he opts out and he says bye-bye. He plays 1 year, kicks it out. He's going to play super well. He's probably going to play 70 games, hard all 70, and probably make all NBA because he wants that next deal. I just don't think Miami's going to give him that extension until you really see him improve on the court.
If he does that, dude, I'm going to be so fucking mad at him.
I don't. My expectation is he plays 65, maybe a little more. But all of this is to say, like, what's the plan? Because if you aren't getting anyone,
well, I think answer to your question, Tiff, is what's the plan? Do we keep Jimmy now and have him with us for at least 1 more year without an extension signed? Or do we move him now and maybe use the pieces to go after a Donovan Mitchell? And then you got all these other contracts and maybe even more picks, because you became probably picks back for Jimmy, to then do other moves that you really want to do.
I
and
kind of
building
feel like
building around a team with Bam and Donovan Mitchell, or maybe whoever else that might be.
If you're gonna say you're gonna keep Jimmy, then I feel like you got to go try to get a Trae Young or a Donovan Mitchell. If Jimmy's on this roster opening night, you got to go get one of these guys. Mm-hmm. Because if you're keeping Jimmy, then you're telling us you're trying to win.
So Tiff, I've been with you, and the thing I told you the other day was, if you don't want to go get off of Jaime and Jovic and your stuff, because and this is a conversation we had with Siobhan. Siobhan is very like behind Jovic and believes that he's going to be very good and believes in Jaime. And if you have that, if you in the organization feel that way, that like I believe in these guys,
then turn it over.
Then that means that you're not going to try to win now. Mm-hmm. And you just got to punt on Jimmy, because like those guys are for sure not going to be good enough to win a title next year unless something miraculous happens. So at that point, at the deadline, you move on, right? And you just, okay, Bam, Jovic, Jaime. If that's what you believe, if you believe that those guys are going to be all-star or all-NBA or like fringe all-star level players, like if you think they're going to be Mike Conleys and shit, then you do it. You know what I mean? And like being an all-star is hard. Goran Dragic made 1, and that's like off of 6 replacements. If you remember that year, did Mike Conley ever make an all-star team? He might have made 1. You know what I mean? Like
maybe early on.
No, Mike Conley very famously didn't make 1 up until it's like he never made 1, and then I know he might have gotten 1 in a similar way to Gogi. I don't remember if he ever did, but regardless, like whether you think so Alf says that they made 1 really late with the Jazz. I remember that he famously like never made 1 until I don't remember either. But
2021.
So, the point is, it's like being an all-star is hard, and if you're gonna be like one of those kinds of players, of course you keep them and you invest and all that. So if you're the organization and you feel that way, and then Tiff, you tell Jimmy, where do you want to go? Okay, give us a list. Let's get you somewhere where you're gonna be happy. Thank you for everything you did. Your pictures are going to be in Championship Alley because you made us, we were the most successful after the LeBron era with you and all that stuff. And then, you move on. But if you don't feel that way about Jaime and Jovic, and if you feel like how I feel, that they're at best fifth starter, 6-man, then you move them and you try to win. Right, so you have to be in one of those 2 camps,
right?
What I think the Heat are going to do is try to just be in the middle, and
they're going to try to split the baby.
Yeah, they're trying to
yet again.
But you're not winning anything, and you're just wasting everybody's time.
Right, but you can't, and that's what I'm getting to. You can't come back with this same team and tell me you're trying to win a championship.
Watch this.
Right. Watch this. you I see what you're trying to do, Pat. I see what you're trying to do. But you can't do that. We already know. And I kind of am sick of Heat Twitter with the they didn't try, they're not serious, all they're not good. Like we gotta like wake up to who these players are. We got a lot of pieces, but nothing spectacular. Like that's just what it is. Like they tried. They got hurt like they always do, and it was the same people hurt, and we've been saying this every year. And everybody thought they were more talented this year than they were last year. They
That
were
shit
not.
drove me crazy.
They were not. Like we got to be honest.
You mean
like,
more deep? Yeah. We were.
No, they weren't. You games aren't played on paper. Everyone looked at the paper and saw the names and said, "We're way better." All right, but the way better is conditioning on Jimmy being better, Tyler being better, Bam being better. You didn't get that out of those three, so you're already at a deficit.
Jimmy was worse, and that meant the team was worse because Jimmy was a lot worse.
Well, also because your others weren't better. Your others weren't able to like rise to the occasion. So this is it. It's the same book over and over. Like they tried. Like we got to stop saying they don't care about the regular season. They care. They just weren't good.
They weren't good, and like I think that they could have cared more. I don't know if that matters. So that to me is like a useless argument. Like, did they care or not? What the reality is, they lost games against bad teams at home. They played like shit.
Yep.
And same thing happened last year, bro. They had the Nets at home up doubled 15 points at halftime. At fucking home. In a game that you fucking win that game, you are out of the play-in. Like 100%. Yep. And they fucking blew a significant lead in the second half at home to lose to that team. And they did the same shit this year too. Yeah. So it's like they lost to Indiana at home too, I think, as well, in a similar kind of thing. So it's like, bro, I'm not doing that with them. They just suck. You know what I mean? And you know, they banking on Jimmy being possessed by the spirit of Michael Jordan and Joe Naismith is just not a winning strategy for them at all.
It's not. And the thing about it, if you even just look at what they did this year, like look at the teams that are still playing. Athleticism, youth, girth, height, strength.
Whoa.
All the things that we need. Like we need a dynamic guard. And by dynamic, all the things plus can play some defense. Like we have to stop being like, okay, you can score.
You want 2019 Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
Because it's like, are we trying to win or are we just trying to show up?
I'm going to say something. So my favorite soccer team, Liverpool, came in third. And the best player on the team said today, he's like, the expectation is trophies. Third place, second place, that's not good enough. And like there's an expectation of winning. And anything short of that, there's no pat on the back that we need. And I think that the organization needs to look at stuff like that, what Mo Salah said, and be like, you know what, that's like who we are. And I think like it's enough of punchy underdog because they've done that a little bit. And listen, making the finals of the NAC is incredible. And like, yeah, they are an underdog because they don't have the talent and blah, blah. But at this point, like, I'm kind of over like these like pats on the back of like conference finals or anything. I still think that's a success and like that's a season to be celebrated. But I think that internally they need to have a little bit more of like, that's not good enough. As fans, we can do that. But Tiff, I agree. It just feels like the fucking like culture of winning. It feels like the culture is more of like, it's more for show at this point than it actually when it was a real thing, which is like winning championships, when it was parades, when it's banners, when it's shit like that. Not, you know what I mean? I mean, look at us. We're fucking laughing at the Knicks from home. You know, we are who we make fun of.
Right.
It's just sad. I mean, listen, I'm still gonna laugh at the Knicks. Don't get me wrong. But you know, it don't hit the same. It don't hit the same when you're not playing. You know, and bro, Indiana's in the conference. That could have been us. That's the annoying part. Because you know what? If they get to 6, they're probably there. That New York team stinks. I wipe my fucking dick with them. They could have probably been in the conference finals right now if nobody got hurt. I fucking hate that team, bro. I hate that team. I hate Tibbs. I can't stand Jalen Brunson, bro. I can't stand him. Josh Hart thinks he's the funniest dude on earth. My dog, you are not that funny. You are not that interesting. You're kind of awkward. Stick to Twitter, bro.
Your podcast sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like any of these people, bro. I don't like Alec Burke. Why does fucking Mitchell always run like this? Why is he always shrugging his shoulders? Why do you look like that? You look like dude, I fucking hate that.
But you know what?
What about Dante DiVincenzo?
You're not Italian, dog. You grew up in Delaware. Fuck out of here.
Isaiah Hartenstein.
Here's the problem, though.
Happy Black History Month.
Here's the problem. Their others showed up to get them at least that far. So we're bashing them
not gonna lie,
because
Tiff.
I hate them. But the reality is, like, our others couldn't push us.
They didn't have to play the Celtics in round 1. If we got to play a Bucks team with
I'm just talking about regular season. I'm talking about regular season.
Oh yeah, regular season. Yeah.
Right. Our others couldn't get us
For sure. Absolutely.
out of the play-in. So that's a problem.
Chat says Dante Hero. I don't like Dante because he's a Knick, so I'm not answering that question. Weird Alf says OG's cool, but Tibbs is trying to kill him. I think Tibbs should be arrested for what he's doing.
Yo,
That man's a fucking criminal. That man, him and George Bush, war criminals in New York City.
Yeah, OG had the gout shuffle for like the first
he
5 minutes
did.
of the game.
He did. He looked bad.
Bro,
bad.
somebody said that OG Anunoby's running like somebody that has to take a shit would.
I think I had sent that in our chat.
He was tight. Poor thing.
That was fine.
Bro. I don't understand how Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah love that dude.
Jimmy loves him.
Skinny McGee says G loves 9/11 jokes.
Oh.
Let me tell you, when Jimmy went down in that Sixers series, that was my first tower. I'll tell you, it was my 9/11. I was like, oh no, we're gonna lose to Philly. Oh God, it's over. I gotta be honest with you. The fact that I'm still here doing this show after they lost to Philadelphia of all teams, and then New York got to advance, I'm telling you, triumphed with the human spirit that I'm still here working. I thought.
And Boston got eliminated too. Yeah, well,
getting eliminated by Kyle Lowry and Joel Embiid. Do you know how cooked the brand was?
The brand is still cooks.
The brand's back because that lady saged and his hand got fucked up, and I was able to rise from the Phoenix. My favorite was when I said that, Tiff, one guy quote tweets and goes, "Nobody knows you." And I go, brother, 0 likes, 0 retweets on yours. I'm like, I got 1,000 on mine. It says, people know me. Promise.
They know your bits at the least.
At the least.
They know your bits.
Crab says
so
podcasting is a
people
real
are
crime
begging you
for
to sage for other sports.
There was no reason for him to sage anything.
They were asking me to sage for the Dolphins. I'm not a Dolphins fan.
They're
like,
no,
sage
we not
for the Panthers. I'm like, I'm not driving to Sunrise. Tiff, it'd be like asking you to drive from Long Island to MSG on like a Tuesday.
Right.
You doing that?
It's not happening.
Hell,
no.
I'm not a Panthers fan. You guys fight for yourselves.
So, Brian, are we back here in a couple of months combing through cap space and sad?
I mean, yeah. Well, I'll be posting stories this week. I have 2, one on Jimmy's extension and one on a path of acquiring Donovan Mitchell, which I don't think has to be just by trade. I think there is a possibility that Miami could acquire him as a free agent if he doesn't sign his extension. I think that would more like
but that would mean if he did get traded, wherever he would go, he would not sign, right? So that's what that would have. You're dependent upon him going somewhere and not signing a contract and then coming to you.
Even if he stays in Cleveland, yeah. But either or. I do think there is a way that Miami could acquire him, and also would require Miami not keeping Jimmy because he's the contract that basically is going out so that you can get close to a max salary. You might have to shed one more contract afterwards to get there. Part of that would be Duncan actually has a contract that for that 2025-2026 season is partially guaranteed, and you can waive and stretch him and save close to 19 million on his salary. So that plus Jimmy's contract combined, Miami's basically like right there to give Donovan Mitchell a max contract and not have to do a sign and trade. They actually would be a cap space team for like the once in like the longest time. So there is a way that Miami could acquire him as a free agent, and I think that might be in the back of their mind, like depending on how next season goes, and also depending on like this extension that Donovan Mitchell has, if he even intends to sign or not, which we don't know. It could go either way, honestly. Right. From everything we've heard, the Cavs seem like they're expecting him to sign, but he's playing it close to chest right now what his actual intentions are. And right. It seems like he wants to not make anything messy if he does choose to leave.
Right.
The Knicks are doing a fucking parade for losing
in the second
round. They're fucking prancing around fucking in New York City. All the players and fans are lining up and they're like high-fiving and they're doing a fucking spectacle.
Are they?
I lost in the second round. Where is this? This is why I hate them, bro. Could you who are you? What the fuck? And they're all limping. They're all limping. They're all, Tibbs.
Oh my God. Tibbs has killed them.
I cannot believe what I just saw. And everyone's like, oh yeah, let's go Knicks. We lost in the second round to Tyrese Halliburton. Let's go. What the fuck is going on? If you did that here, A, nobody would show up. B, I think I would denounce the Heat. Dude, I cannot believe. I'm sorry. I cannot believe that they did that. That's the most loser shit I've ever seen in my life. It's like, why? What are you celebrating? That you lost a Game 7 at home by double digits? You think Denver's gonna do that?
No.
Denver lost to a good team.
Well, listen.
Dog, you lost to a guy that fucking collects Legos. Dog, that guy went home after that and went to fucking...
Hey, what's wrong with Legos?
He went to go fucking put King Arthur's castle together with his fucking age 10 and upset.
What the fuck's wrong with Legos?
A lot, because you have them. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm glad we're not them. Not like us. Not like us.
I got other breaking news. Apparently, Donovan Mitchell posted a recap video for his season this year, and he's got a video of him at the arena where the Heat play. And on the list of likes is one Bam Adebayo.
Listen, Bam has a job.
Stay tuned.
Somebody has to pick up the mantle for Dwayne Wade. Tiff, you laughing? Listen, buddy, it's your job to pick up the phone and fucking start making some calls in some parking lots.
Listen, everybody knows what's going on. Nobody needs to call anybody. This is on the Heat to make it happen.
Bam needs to send the "you up" text. Hey, you up? What are you doing? Cold in Cleveland, isn't it?
I kind of wish Donovan was in the Olympics this year. I feel like that'd make it more interesting, but he's not.
He needs to rest.
Alf saying Bam doesn't. Weird Alf says Bam doesn't do shit but hoop. No, he needs to go recruit. Get your ass out there.
Who we want from Team USA? Who we want from Team USA?
Yeah, job to do.
Nobody. They're all old.
So yeah, guys, that's really
You don't want KD, LeBron, or Steph?
I'd love KD, but there's just no way they're getting KD.
No.
There's no way they're getting KD.
And you can't have KD with no Jimmy. Like it doesn't. Have you ever seen KD drive the car? No,
yeah,
you haven't.
I have.
No,
they were
you
really
haven't.
Good.
Who?
They made the finals.
He didn't lead that team though. Like
Durant?
you don't. Yes, He might have led in scoring, but he
Oh,
wasn't like.
on the
Yeah,
Warriors.
you can't have him as your.
No, I mean, I'm saying when he was with OKC, he was the guy.
No, he still wasn't.
Harden?
Russ was leading that team.
Well, like if
There's
we're gonna
a
go by
difference.
that, I mean, like Bam could be the vocal leader of the team. You know, if Durant's not gonna do it, you think I don't think Jimmy's a vocal leader either. I think that
I think Jimmy's a foot in the ass. Let's get it going, person.
I think everyone's just a little scared of Jimmy. I think I
don't
think there's a healthy amount of fear.
I don't think they're scared.
I love Mean Jimmy though.
What'd you say?
I love Mean Jimmy because that's when he plays his best.
That's if they're one Pat Riley bad comment away from him going into practice and like Cole Swider becoming like part of a spectacle because he picks him up for practice and like he just fucking breaks Duncan's back or something.
Well, I'm surprised we have not heard from Jimmy.
He might listen. We laugh, but the Heat might need a spectacle to happen. Maybe they need something to light a fire.
Please no.
Maybe they need something to light a fire.
That's what Pat already did. Pat already said, Jimmy, shut the fuck up, and that didn't work. So
also, maybe nobody cared.
Well, didn't Ethan say on 5 on the Floor that like that Jimmy's agent's like, Jimmy hurt. He just thinks Pat's trying to motivate him. Just pay me and we'll be fine.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think all the things that Pat said, I don't think anyone took it to. I think everybody was like, whatever. That's not lighting the fire.
Angry. I was angry.
Right.
Everybody got mad at me. That was the most angry of the YouTube comments I've ever been at me. You
read the YouTube comments?
I normally don't. I was just curious.
Why do you do that to yourself?
I don't care. No, Brian, I get bullied on the internet. I've been bullied on the internet for fucking 11 years. You think anything that people have told me so many mean things to me, nothing can hurt me. These people can't.
Sure. You're an anti-Twitter.
They're nice. It depends. Sometimes they're mean. But no, basketball Twitter's been so mean to me over the years. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, these people can't hurt me. I'm invincible. They can't hurt me, bro. The Knicks lost. I was on a date that night when they lost Game 6. I looked at the score because I hadn't checked my phone. I saw the Knicks were down like a lot of points. I kissed my date square in the mouth. She goes, and I said, the Knicks lost. She goes, I don't know what that means, but I'm really happy for you. And I was like, I'm over the fucking moon right now. Life's great. And the Knicks are losing. Can't ask for much more.
The Heat to be winning.
Yeah, well, that's next. You know, hopefully.
At least we've seen them win a title in our lifetime.
Huh?
At least we've seen them win a title in our lifetime.
Seen 3, motherfucker. There's 3 banners up there. Real quick, as we get out of here, Tiff, who are you rooting to win the title this year out of the 4 teams remaining? Order them.
Okay, in my order, I'm gonna go. Oh man,
we got Minnesota, Dallas, Indiana, and Boston.
I know who playing.
But for the audience, given like.
Oh, okay. It's just there's somebody on each team I don't like, so I gotta like be very.
I like this game. Wait, can I guess who it is on each team?
Yeah.
All right. Go. I know for sure on Minnesota, it's definitely Ant, for obvious reasons. Dallas would probably be Kyrie, no?
No.
Really? I thought it'd be
Luka's.
Kyrie.
Luka's got the most punchable face I've ever seen in my life.
Tiff don't fuck with Fat Boy.
All right, I'm 1 for 2. All right, so Eastern Conference, we got Boston and we got Indiana.
Take your pick on Boston.
Right.
Oh, Boston. I'm gonna go Derek White
because Tiff said at least one. I don't think Tiff hates Derek White.
No,
it's Tatum, Brown.
It's Tatum. I can't stand Tatum.
I can't stand Tatum either. And
there's something how they just.
Has to be TJ McConnell.
No,
I love TJ. I will take him on the Heat team.
I'm bad at this game.
I will take him so freaking fast.
I was gonna say it's probably Miles, right?
It is Miles.
Yeah,
he annoys me
because Tiff's my fucking homie.
He just annoys me. But okay, here we go. I'm gonna go. Even though I punched Luka in the face, I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas get the ring this year. I would not mind it one bit. So I'm gonna go Dallas, Indiana, Minnesota, Boston.
I have the same exact list as Tiff, and I'm gonna say why. I don't like Dallas. I have a lot of respect for Luka. I agree that he has a punchable face. He does need to shave. He looks like a gamer. He is a gamer. He's like really good at League of Legends or Apex. I don't know, some Valorant, some shit he's really good at. But he's just so good. I have so much respect for him. I don't like Jason Kidd. I don't want Jason Kidd winning. He's a horrible human being. But unfortunately, it is what it is. But Minnesota, I'm getting really sick of you people comparing every good two guard to Dwayne Wade. He has to be better than James Harden to be better than Dwayne Wade. How about you? These guys have never won shit. Start at the bottom of the totem pole. You work your way up to D Wade. I'll even
better
give
than Manu Ginobili.
I'll even give it to Kobe and Jordan over D Wade, even though I think D Wade was better than Kobe. I think Ant's awesome too, as a player. But let's stop with the Dwayne Wade stuff. My guy has not won. By the way, in a game 7, total fucking no-show. Hit 1-3, started talking shit to the crowd. Shut the fuck up, bro. You shot 25% against Jokic. You go against a fat, doughy man. The fucking stalwart of defense that is Nikola Jokic, okay? So Dwayne Wade with a fucking broken rib had 20 points on fewer shots against an all-time great Detroit Pistons team with amazing defense with Ben. He was doing it against Ben Wallace. You couldn't do it against Jokic. So I want to chill with the fucking D-Wade comps, okay? But have some fucking goddamn respect for one of the greatest people to ever touch a basketball, okay? Have some respect. So that's why...
Gee, pace adjusted, that'd be like 30 points.
That's why Minnesota's 3. And the only reason they're not last is because I'll gouge my eyes out before I root for the Boston Celtics. I'll just be real. And you know how bad it is that I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to root for the Celtics over the Knicks because I hate the Knicks so much more. I'd rather chop my limbs off.
I might have rooted for the Knicks.
No way.
That's how much I hate the Celtics.
I can't. Tiff, I can't. I one look at Jalen Brunson and I can't do it. I just can't. Because at least I acknowledge the Celtics as a good team. I acknowledge them as a worthy rival. I look at the Knicks and I was like, you fucking people suck. Get OG Anunoby out of
Yeah, no. Whenever I look at the Celtics, I just see a sign that says colored drinking fountain. I can't root for them.
I was going to say, she sees a sign that says 3 letters. And they're all the same letter.
Exactly. I'll never root for them.
Brian, what's your
look
order?
Look between J and L on your keyboard.
The first good use of that meme I've ever seen. Brian Michael Goins. Well done. Brian, what is your 4 in order? And
anyone but fucking Boston. Anyone but fucking Boston.
Okay, that's excellent answer. Excellent answer. Anyone but Boston.
Maybe one would probably be the Pacers. I'm okay with them winning.
I'm okay. Listen, I want me some TJ McConnell in Miami. Pat Riley, make it happen.
Although that would be like the biggest fluke title if they win.
That's the only
Listen.
That's the only time I've ever wanted an insurrectionist in Miami.
Exactly.
And he's Jimmy's boy.
If they somehow win, honestly, if they somehow like magically, I don't think they're gonna even make it to the finals, but if they somehow magically pull off a title, I'm be so fucking pissed at that Miami didn't fucking try in the regular season.
If they win,
because they literally have everything going their way.
I'm clowning Boston all fucking week. Can't wait. I need this.
Listen.
Chat, thank you for rocking with us on an off-season random day that we decided to stream. See, be on the lookout for Draft Beat. Be on the lookout for our announcement on when our Pride show is. We're getting that ready and ramped up to put on a great production for you guys. Draft Beat's going to be in full swing real soon, and when the new TV deal gets signed, we have Alex Musaba and I are going to break that down for you. And as the offseason goes, we're going to anytime there's a rumor or anything, we're going to be on. We're going to break it down, what the Heat can do, what that means. We'll try to bring some guests on. We may do some hate watches as well, some little hate watch post game shows if there's an appetite for that and you guys want. But happy offseason, enjoy basketball, guys, and we'll get you ready for the draft in the offseason. So take care. Good to see Chad again. I love to see your beautiful faces and to be with my colleagues that I love so much. So take care, guys.
Night.